if you were talking to another person about money and they asked you, how are you doing financially? And you responded, pretty good. I feel comfortable financially. They would probably be a bit uncomfortable and say, oh, really? Because in our society, it isn't common to be doing well financially. It's actually very uncommon. Many people are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, worried about the economy, and strapped with debt. When you talk about personal finance with other people, you quickly come to the conclusion that being broke is normal. And why is that? Well, in this video, I'm going to dive into why so many people have trouble getting ahead financially and share 10 reasons why it is so normal to be broke. And the first reason is it's how everyone's living. So as I just said, if someone asked you, how are you doing financially? And you responded, I'm doing pretty good, they would probably be surprised. And that's because in our society, it's very normal to be behind financially. And when something is normal, it seems like it's the only way to live because that's how everyone is living. For example, if everyone around you is struggling, including yourself, you'll probably think life is hard and getting ahead financially isn't possible. And you'll think that way because that's all you see and you just think that's normal. Whereas if everyone around you is doing well financially and you're the only one struggling, you'll probably ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Because everyone around you is doing good and you're the only one that's struggling. And so being broke is normal simply because it's normal. When everyone's living the same way, you think it's a fact of life and you think that it's impossible to get ahead financially. Now,
Hello, and welcome back to Money Mentor. Today, we have an exciting topic to explore. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our valuable content. Let's dive right in.
Second reason is we think we're powerless over money. Now, another huge reason why being broke is so normal is because instead of focusing on the things we can control, like budgeting, saving, and managing money, we focus on the things we can't control, like who's in office, the state of the economy, and what the people on Wall Street are doing. We focus on these things that are out of our control, which makes us feel powerless over our personal finance. However, the convenient truth about personal finance is that the biggest things that are going to affect you are completely in your control, like budgeting, saving, and managing money. And if you focus on these things, live modestly, and have a financial safety net, then it won't matter who's in office. But being broke is normal because most people think that their financial well-being is based on things that are completely out of their control, which prevents them from taking steps to get in a better financial situation. Now, the third reason is we view money as complex. Now, most people stay broke their entire lives because they think that money is this very complex thing, and that in order to be in a good financial situation, you have to have a complex budget, be a math wizard, and understand the complexity of the market. And so people don't make any progress to get ahead financially and spend their entire lives living paycheck to paycheck. However, money is so simple and it doesn't take a genius to get ahead financially. All you have to do is spend less than you make, save for emergencies, and grow your money with index funds. It's so simple, but being broke is so normal because people don't see it that way. Most people view it as this complex thing that is impossible to understand and end up never getting ahead financially. Now, the fourth reason is saving is viewed as deprivation. Now, a huge thing that allows you to get ahead financially is having a large amount of savings. So if something happens, like your car breaks down, you can cover it without feeling the financial hit. Having a large amount of savings is a very empowering thing. However, most people don't see it that way. Most people have a very different view of saving and money. People think that spending is empowerment and saving is deprivation. And this mindset keeps people forever broke because they end up spending all their money in the moment. And when an emergency happens, like a car issue, they don't have the money to cover it. But saving should really be seen as an empowering thing because when you have a large amount of savings and an emergency expense comes up, you can cover it without affecting you. But most people don't view it this way, and being broke is normal because people view spending as empowerment and saving as deprivation. Now, the fifth reason is our culture is obsessed with individuality. Now, if you watch my channel, you know that I lived in a small country called Ecuador for 2 years. And one of the biggest cultural differences between Ecuador and the United States is that Ecuador is a very communal culture where the rules and values are centered around the community, whereas the United States is a very individualistic culture where rules and values are centered around the individual. Individuality is a huge part of American culture, which creates a very consumerist culture because we focus on expressing ourselves and our individuality externally through what we buy and consume. For example, your car can express what your lifestyle is like, your fashion can express your personality, and your tech can express your social status. We spend so much money on things to say, I'm an individual, and these things are what make me a unique individual. And being broke is so normal because we think this way. We are so obsessed with individuality and being an individual that it drives us into debt and financial ruin. Now, the sixth reason is we're stressed out. Another cornerstone of American culture and what it means to be American is just to be stressed out all the time. I mean, we Americans live very stressful lives where our jobs consume so much of our time. We sit in traffic and we don't have time for anything. And you know what people normally do when they're stressed out? They eat and they buy. And if there's something we Americans are good at, it is eating and buying. But we live such stressful lives in the United States. And how do we cope with this? By spending money. And I think the reason for this is one, to relieve stress, two, to make things easier, and three, justify our hard work that stresses us out. Which ironically makes us more stressed out because it traps us in this vicious circle of making money, spending money, running out of money, and doing it again. Being broke is so normal because being stressed out is also so normal. We live such stressful lives that we end up spending so much money that traps us in this vicious circle where we're constantly behind financially. Now, the seventh reason is we want a life we can't afford. On TV and social media, we see portrayals of extravagant lifestyles with nice things and people living in luxury. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with wanting a higher quality of life and wanting nice things. However, there is something wrong when you choose to live this lifestyle and you can't afford it because you end up paying for it on borrowed money. And being broke is so normal because people choose to live a lifestyle they can't afford. They live above their means, getting a bunch of stuff they can't afford where they're spending more than they're making. They accumulate a bunch of debt and they're always financially behind. They're always broke. Now, the eighth reason is because borrowing is normal. If you spoke to the average person of how they bought these things they own, they would probably say they bought their car on an auto loan, their cell phone on a payment plan, and their clothes on a credit card. And it wouldn't be weird because borrowing is so normal. In our culture, everyone is in debt. I mean, most people make real money at their jobs and use it to pay off borrowed money. And the problem with this is that you don't just have to pay back the loan, but you also have to pay back interest, which makes most people pay 5 to 30% more on everything they buy. We buy things we don't need with money we don't have, which makes it impossible to get ahead financially. And so being broke is normal because borrowing is normal. Having debt is a completely normal thing. And as I said earlier, when something is normal, we don't really question or see something wrong with it and take steps to get in a better situation. Now, the ninth reason is borrowing is so easy. Now, not only is borrowing so normal, but it's also incredibly easy. I mean, you can get a pre-qualified auto loan in 2 minutes. You can get a payment plan for a cell phone, or you can even qualify for a payment plan on American Eagle if you spend over $30. If you want to buy something but you don't have the money to buy it, it is so easy to get a loan because corporations know that most people are broke and can't afford their products. But if given the option to borrow the money and pay later, they'll do it. Being broke is so normal because borrowing money is so easy. And when people are given the option so easily to borrow money, even for a shirt for $30 at American Eagle, they choose to do it and spend money they don't have on things they don't need, trapping them in debt and making it impossible to get in a better financial situation. Now, the final reason being broke is so normal is waste is normal. So I want to finish this video by telling you a quick story about something that happened to me when I was living in Ecuador. In my final months in Ecuador, I decided to go with some friends to a national park deep in the Amazon jungle called Parque Yasuni, which is a beautiful park deep in the Amazon, but getting there is very difficult. You have to take a bus to a town called Coca and then take a 10-hour boat on the river to get to a small village near the border Peru called Nueva Rocafuerte. And when me and my friends were on this boat headed to Nueva Rocafuerte, we noticed some locals throwing their trash out the boat into the river, which got one of my friends really upset. But another one of my friends said something that I'll never forget. He said that in your lifetime, you will consume at least 100 times more than this person. But the thing that you're mad about is that you can see this person's waste. You can see them throwing their waste in the river. But your lifestyle is much more wasteful. I mean, you're getting Amazon delivery boxes to your house frequently. You're getting takeout food and living a large lifestyle, creating way more waste, but you don't see it. It's hidden from you because you put it in the trash can and never think about it again. In the United States and a lot of other Western countries, we think that as long as we recycle, use paper straws and buy organic, that we are less wasteful than someone throwing trash in the river. But if we could see our waste, we would think completely differently about our lifestyles. I mean, if we could see how much money and resources we waste from buying unused things, we would probably change our ways. But we can't see it. And so being broke is normal because being wasteful is so normal. We waste so much money and resources on things that we don't end up using. And those are the 10 reasons why being broke is so normal.